Yesterday I took, okay. You are welcome to the Tourist Information Center this morning. This is the School of the Knowledge of God, where we dissipate and expand into details the knowledge that God has in his mind, so that mankind will really understand what it must be. The last time we looked at some kind of things concerning how God started humanity. And the question was there no security? Why did the intruder come in? And we learned some things from that, so that we will not make the same mistake. Today's topic is also new. In the same syllables, did you know God began creation as a government? Yes, began everything as in government. The topic today is the first political and criminal trial on earth. So you see, this is completely out of Christianity's lane. Christianity cannot talk things like this. Christianity even hate politics. They will say, oh, we are not part of it. Whereas their Jesus, their master Jesus, is a politician. Can you imagine? The first political and criminal trial on earth. People will say, wow, yes, it happened. God being God of truth and justice. That is why you are common to the word righteousness and justice. God being a God of truth and justice instituted a trial court at which the defendants had the opportunity to plead their case. You see, God is a God of justice. So he did not come and attack Adam and Eve just like that. He presented them before a court where God was the judge. So this whole thing about court in the world came from the Bible. God was the first judge. We find Adam blaming Eve for failing to obey the law, and also blaming God for the presence of Eve in his life. You see, the chance was given to them to defend themselves. In judgment, God made the defendants aware of their offenses and their corresponding sentence. In the same matter, God said, for what you have done, this is what will happen to you. That is judging and giving them sentence or punishment, if you like. This is a pure court. God did not say, because I am God, come on, you people, I've finished with you, I've killed you, that's all. No, he gave them the opportunity to present their defense on the accusation that he labeled on them, or which they themselves labeled upon themselves, because they said, we have gone to hide. That means they have pleaded guilty already. God assured the defendants of his purpose to resuscitate his disrupted project, and would use the seed of the woman to overthrow the authority of the serpent. In other words, God is trying to tell man his new plan, because he will not say because the intruder has interfered and collapsed the business, he will not do it again. No. God will continue the business. That is what mankind must know. That God's agenda is still going to run, and is running. If you look at religious Christianity, why are they going to heaven? They think God's agenda is over on earth. That is wrong. If God's agenda is over, so this is a totally different teachings, which tells you more about the concept of the kingdom. This is not Christianity, which is a religion, which is clearly to prove that God's agenda is going to run on earth. Now look at the prayer that we will definitely stand before the judgment seat of God one day. And what will God be judging us for? He will be judging us for what we have done on earth. He failed. So responsibility that we are supposed to carry. The seed of the woman shall crush the head of the serpent. What does that mean? The seed of brought a government on his shoulder. That is the evidence why Jesus came with a government. Because he came to make sure God's government that collapsed has been rebuilt. And he has brought it, this time from heaven. That is the message Christ came for. To establish a government on earth. Of course, without a nation, it is going to be impossible. So definitely, he will automatically need a nation so that the government can run the nation. And of course, he will need citizens. If not, a government and a nation will be useless. That is why when you remember when God met Abraham, all he was telling him is that I want to make a nation out of you. Why? Because when a nation is made, a government will definitely come out of that nation. That is why you and I must seek to be citizens of that country. After we have become citizens, we must work hard to qualify to be government appointees of God's government. And that is what God's children are expected to do. If not, the devil will continue to use the world's devilic children to rule. And that is what they are doing. Can you imagine the rot that is going on in African nations and the world? It is because the devil's governments are the ones ruling. So they don't know what is righteousness. They don't know what is justice. People are denied justice because they don't have money. People are denied justice because they don't know anybody in authority. Imagine a judge can sit down, look at facts before him or her, and judge against that fact. It's terrible. Very, very terrible. And that is exactly what God hates. That is why God has called us, the Dominion Gathering, to come and change the situation. So, beloved, wherever you are, my name is Peter Anamo. I speak on behalf of the Dominion Gathering, or the concept of the kingdom people. Yes, that is our name. Or the office of the prophet to the nations. This is the good news I can bring to you. The good news you have heard over and over is not what is there. What is happening is good news in religion. But the true good news that Jesus brought is nothing but the concept of the kingdom. And it is got to do with a government, a nation, and citizenship. That is why Jesus told his disciples one time that when you come into government, don't be like them. Which people? Like the devil's government. Don't be like the devil's government. I can't wait to see when we will come into government. Amen. And the world will know that indeed God has the best government, because we must prove it. Beloved, I believe I have impacted so heavily in your mind with this short period of time. It is about what the information is all about. It's not how long I talk. It's how much information, material, ingredients I have released. And that is all that is there about the government, the nation, and citizenship that Jesus was sent to come and establish. It is not about going to heaven. No. It's a terrible religious misconception and misteachings and misleadership. Why will we come from heaven and just come and make a U-turn and go back to heaven? Is God doing children playground? Or is God doing, what do you call it, merry-go-round? No. God said, let us make man in our own image and likeness, and let them have dominion. In other words, let them be the government. In other words, let them be the nations. In other words, let them be the people to be in charge. in charge of what? God's property, which is the creation. We have sat down for the devil to be messing up God's property all over the world. Majority of people are poor, and that is the devil's agenda. Because God's agenda has nothing to do with poverty. Because God is rich and wealthy. Why must his children be poor? How can a rich man's children live in poverty? No, it is only when those children are ignorant of who their father is. That is why you can see poverty massively in religious Christianity and all the religions. In fact, they even worship poverty. There are some of the religions that it is good to beg so you will go to heaven. Can you imagine? You think God is confused? Huh? Religion teaches about low level of human life as qualification to righteousness. No. God is looking forward to see his children to be wealthy people on earth, so that poverty will not be a portion. And that is the true gospel of the concept of the kingdom. Maybe you want to know more. Call me on this number, 055-459-8076. Or you can send a voice message. You can communicate on WhatsApp. You want to support this worthy cause? Yes, we welcome your support in all kinds. Equipment, money, whatever. You can send money to the same number, 055-459-8076. The mobile wallet is named Peter Anamoh. Anamoh is Anamoh. If you're outside Ghana, then you need the code number +233, then 55-459-8076. Beloved, I believe I have blessed you this morning. Call and present what you want us to do together. Let's partner and bring the truth that Jesus said, if we find it, we shall be free. I am free. I am looking forward to see you also free. God bless you.